Well, it is Friday again, and we are here with Real Talks AI and Cyber Now. I'm here with my co-host Joel Hallbaker. What's going on, Joel?
Hey Ron, happy Friday.
No doubt, man. Got the Friday vibes. Pump it up.
Yeah.
Well, man, we got some good stuff coming today on quantum. So I'm excited, Joel. You brought some good stuff to the table. Before we get started, I'd like to kind of talk about a couple of different events that we got going on here. If you like the content, what we've got going on here, you'll definitely like some of the other things that we've got going on. Joel, can you bring up that share? Thank you, sir. Um, so yeah, right now this is the Real Talk AI and Cyber Now. As you guys that have been here before know, we do this every Wednesday. Please join in the comments, say hey, ask some questions. We'll do our best to answer. In addition, there's a couple of other events I want to bring your attention to. One is a weekly event called a Hands-On AI Lab, and this is absolutely my favorite hour of the week. It's where I get to play with AI in a lab with friends. So if you're looking for an environment that's a lunch and learn, cameras, no cameras, you can come off mute if you want. You can just listen if you want. But we do encourage participation. This is hands-on stuff. So yesterday, for instance, I reviewed a little bit of, my workflow and the process of how I take ideas and work with those to create content and come up with videos and all the kind of different things that I do. Some of the tools that we use around that. So if you're looking to get better with AI and you want to join a group that's working and using it and talking about what it's good for, what it's not good for, watch out for this, do that. This is an excellent place for you. This is every Thursday at 11:30 Central. It just go out here to the page, valentia.com, Hands-On AI Lab. You'll see it right up here in the events. Click on Hands-On AI Lab, click here on register now, put your information in, and it's a Teams meeting. So it's not, it's open to the public kind of, but really it's invite only. So good group of folks. I encourage you, if you're interested and want to join us, please do so. The other event we got coming up that I'd like to mention is our AI profit and growth brief. Now, this is a monthly event where it's very much geared toward business owners and business leaders who want to use AI to increase money. So this is about making more money with AI. If that's of interest to you, it certainly is to me. I would appreciate you guys coming. That will be, I think the next one, Joel, is September the 9th. It'll
Yeah,
be
it's next
this
Tuesday
Tuesday.
actually.
Yeah, a couple days from now. So next week on Tuesday at 11 o'clock in the morning here in CT, Chicago, where I'm at. So please come register for that. It will be an event that hopefully you'll get something out of. And I just want to invite you guys to those. Joel, what you got
Awesome.
for us on the quantum side?
Yeah, man. So today we are going to talk about something ominous, right? Here we go. The quantum threat. Sounds a little
That sounds scary.
yeah. Now what do you think that can mean? What are we talking about here? I mean, this, first of all, quantum computing comes to mind, right? Sounds a little maybe a little sci-fi-ish, right?
A little futuristic. A
Yeah.
little futuristic.
Futurist mixed with 1960s space shows, I think, probably.
that looks late 60s right there.
Right. But no, what we're talking about, it has to do with quantum computing. And quantum computing, we hear that in the news every so often, right? The big tech giants are plugging away, trying to make advancements in quantum computing, and it has a lot of promise for the future as far as what it can do for us, right? Solve perhaps complex medical problems, complex physics problems, things like that can really change the world, similar to how AI is. But there's always a flip side to that coin, right? So we need to be aware of these things and think about that. Now, this all started, believe it or not, way back in 1994. Mathematician Peter Shor, he developed an algorithm that could theoretically break RSA encryption, which, is what just about everything that we do now on the internet, our backups, our servers.
VPNs.
Yeah, all this is using RSA encryption, right? And there's of course other protocols out there and other standards out there that are being used, but really the same boat, right? If it's going to be able to break RSA, it's a good chance the other stuff that we're using today is also not going to last much longer, right? Once quantum computing is sufficiently powerful. So, that's the concern, right? When is this going to happen? when are we going to have to worry about this? And like I mentioned, it's been out there as a concept for a long time that this could be broken, and you hear murmurings about it every now and then, but it's not an everyday conversation. Definitely not something I hear a lot in corporate America, right? That, hey, we need to get on top of this. It's not we're not hearing the urgency like a Y2K event. We need to get on top of this and get this, man, this is coming, right? It feels like it's way off in the future. Well, when we say sufficiently powerful quantum computer, what do we mean? Not too long ago, it meant, well, here, let's get down a little bit in the weeds, right? We don't want to go too deep because honestly, I'm not a quantum computer expert, so I'm not going to go too deep in the weeds. But qubits, quantum bits, similar to how we consider bits in classical computing, right, are, it's a unit of data or unit of I'm going to say the wrong words here, so I'm not going to say. I'm going to have quantum computer scientists beating down my door here. So it's the like bits in the classical computer, qubits are like the bits in the quantum computer, right? And so not too long ago, it was believed that we needed somewhere on the order of 10 to the 8th or 10 to the 9th qubits in a computer functioning in order for it to break something like RSA in a reasonable amount of time, right? Because right now, classical computing, it's what, billions of years, I think, to break RSA 2048 or 4096. But this year, May 2025, a Google researcher was able to get that number down to only 10 to the 6, which, I'm sorry, this is kind of fuzzy, it's hard to see, but about 1 million qubits, right? Okay. So that's about the target right now. And I think, as we've seen in technology for a long time, right, these numbers continue to come down. The quantum computing continues to progress faster than we expected, just like AI, right? So this is the trajectory of the threshold that we're looking for when encryption might be in danger. And then here is the projection for when this might happen, right? When we might have a quantum computer that has this sort of power. Nobody knows for sure, but there's a few different projections that are out there. Qubits double every 2 years, qubits double every year, they double every 9 months, whatever it may be. But as you see, this is not a very long graph as far as time's concerned here. So, here
10
we are,
years.
2025.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Ron.
10 years. Yeah, it's not a long time.
Exactly right. And 10 to the 6 up here, 1 million qubits right here, and that's the threshold that we're looking at, right? Yeah, it's 2035 at most by some of these projections, or even less. So that's the thing we need to be considering, that this is coming, and it could only be 5 or 10 years out before it has the potential to break the encryption that we have. And AI, of course, like everything nowadays, right? AI is helping researchers to speed this up, helping the computer scientists to speed this up, because a lot of times it's, complex problems and things that just need to be worked out, or lots of data that needs to be analyzed, right? And AI is good at that. So what do you think, Ron? Is this a threat we need to be considering now, or should we just, maybe hold off another 5 years?
Man, what you're showing me is it's coming, and it's coming on quick. I think it's just something that we need to at least be thinking about. I'm interested. I'm waiting for the other foot to drop, Joel. Is there anything I can do? I mean, I will say that quantum has always been of interest to me. I'm not a quantum scientist like yourself, but I think it's, I think it's absolutely. You play one on TV. I think it's amazing that they can even create a quantum computer, number one.
Right.
I've seen the shows and watched, and different stuff on it. The fact that it's doing more work than they understand it could be doing hints at maybe a parallel universe. I've heard the fact that there's quantum entanglement, which can be used as a network that's also has a lot of security around it, difficult to break from military stuff. I think we're on the surface. We're scratching the surface of a lot here, but the feeling is like too far away. Don't worry about it now. But it sounds like you're saying this may be something on the horizon that we could consider, that we could do something now. Is that right?
Yeah, and I would say, for me, imagine this too. Just like AI, we see that as it progresses, it becomes an exponential curve, right? And you got to imagine that quantum computing, once they've figured out how to get it to a level where it's really doing stuff for mankind, solving problems, things like that, that is going to progress a lot faster, right? Because why could you
Right.
not then use quantum computing and the advanced AI of that age to get you moving even faster? Excuse me. So yeah, there's a couple real world considerations that I'm thinking about when we look at this potential threat, right? One, it takes time to implement new encryption protocols, algorithms, standards in your business.
Yeah.
Historically, whenever a new well, how about I pose this to you? How long do you think it has taken historically when something new comes out, a new encryption protocol comes out, for businesses to widely adopt it and actually implement it?
Knowing the maintenance windows of businesses with high, with environments that are mission critical. I'm thinking healthcare,
Right.
manufacturing, these type things, financials. I would bet it takes a lot. I mean, this
Yeah.
encryption is built into all the communications, all that. It's like to change it is a pretty big deal. So I would guess probably couple years to roll things out. My
Yeah,
guess,
what I've
2,
found
3 years.
that historically it's been 5 to 20 years, which
Yeah.
20 years I was thinking like, how's that even possible? Because by the time you get that implemented, you're another 3 revs behind, right?
Well, in
So
the mid '80s,
yeah,
they said, make sure that your passwords have 8
right.
uppercase, lowercase numbers, and special characters. That was the mid
No more
'80s,
than
I
8.
think.
Right.
So, and now that's exactly where we're at. So, yeah, it sounds
Yeah.
about right. 20 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? Now it could be 5 years, but even then, 5 years, right? That's a long time. Especially when you're looking at that graph we were looking at, and
Yeah.
quantum computing is just around the corner in terms of that kind of a timeline, right? So there's that. There's also this idea of harvest now, decrypt later.
Mm,
That again, some people have heard of, but some people are like, wait a minute, what does that mean? I think you can kind of understand what it means from what it says, but the idea is that people can be stealing data right now that you think is secure because, hey, it's encrypted, right? So it's
mhm.
no big deal. Or there was a breach and someone stole data, right? Someone stole your password manager vault. Someone stole some backups. Someone sniffed some, web traffic from a server, whatever it is. You figure, okay, I don't like it happened, but at least it's encrypted. It's okay. Well, that's the decrypt later part of this, right?
Mm.
What about if they hang on to this and 5 years from now, 10 years from now, someone's able to decrypt it? What's in that
Joel, I
information?
gotta raise the cybersecurity flag real quick here. You know,
Yeah.
One of the things that we do when we do a cybersecurity risk assessment on clients and new clients, when we look at the network and the devices on the network, is we ask, is there PII on that machine? We basically look with an agent and say, what's on the machine? We assume that something might happen. Someone might have access to this machine at some level. What's there that you should worry about? And the
Mm,
other thing we look at is that important data that's there, is it encrypted on the drive? Joel, a lot of times it's not.
right.
So what you're talking about is someone who is already on top of their game, that recognizes that, this is where I'm going to put sensitive data on a physical machine, and I'm going to make sure that this folder that I'm putting it in is encrypted, so that in case somebody comes and grabs it, they got something encrypted. But you're saying that even if it's encrypted and they got it, they may not can access it now, but it'll be really valuable in the future.
Right. I mean, they're talking about the quantum computing with, say the million qubits or whatnot could potentially break RSA 2048 in about a week's time. Right. Now, of course, that's one key, right? This isn't the sky is falling, right? That's one key. Someone's got to have a quantum computer, got to have access to it, things like that, right? But it's coming, and we should be diligent, right, to prepare for it, especially when we
It's
can prepare for it, right? Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, what can
So
we do? I mean, but you got me on the edge of my seat, Joel. I'm scared now.
keep teasing. So, I mean, think, one objection I want to think about, right? Someone might be listening to this and thinking, well, I mean, 5, 10 years from now, what do I care about that data? I mean, someone's got my password 10 years from now. Who cares? True. Okay. So what's some stuff that you might care about? I mean, I wrote down a few things here. We got like, say biometrics, right? Your retina didn't
Mm,
change. Your fingerprint didn't change, right?
true.
So biometrics, that matters. That could be stored at, you know, any number of companies or on hardware that gets stolen, right? Hardware,
Mm-hmm.
if the biometric stays on the hardware, sure, but hardware gets stolen. Um, Health and medical data, PII,
Mm-hmm.
like you talked about, right? That doesn't get outdated, right? So if you're running a healthcare organization or you deal with healthcare organizations, um, you you don't want that ever getting out, right? You don't want that ever getting decrypted. So IDs, government IDs that may
Yeah.
be stored somewhere, photos of them somewhere, social security numbers, right? Financial records, private communications. I mean, everybody's got, say, like, you know, on these private communication apps, WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, all those. What if some of that got out? What if, you know, in Microsoft Teams, that, you know, stuff you're talking about corporate in corporate America, and you're talking about trade secrets, things like
Yep.
that. You don't want those getting out. And that brings us to, I mean, strategic business data, right? How much of that doesn't have a 5 or 10 year expiration date on it, right? I mean, trade secrets, right? This is what makes your business what it is.
True.
Or say a roadmap with merger and acquisition plans and product roadmaps, things like that. That again is something that gives you the edge in the market. You know, that could very well be longer than 5 years out, I would think. So there's a whole lot, right? And I'm going to go ahead and answer your question for you, Ron, because I know you're just dying to hear.
I am.
So,
Edge of my seat, man. You're killing me.
so what can we do now? There are actually real world things we can do today. And first thing is get an idea of what is the data that you care about that could be, you know, still sensitive in 5 to 10 years. Things I just read off, there may be others in your business you're thinking of. There's a lot of stuff in our lives, right, that we really don't ever want getting out to the public, right? So think about that, because that's a favorite of attackers too, right? Once they have it and it is something that they can expose in plain text, then they're absolutely going to use that for extortion. So
Yep.
inventory that data, and then start building crypto agility into your architecture. Now, what does it say to you, Ron, when you think about that? What does that mean
Well,
to you?
agility around crypto, I would assume that means the ability to change out what type of type of crypto you're using at different points in the business.
Right. Yeah. I mean, think about, you know, we've run into a lot in the past. I mean, even still today, there's software out there that's, you know, hard coded with stuff, right? There's hard coded IP addresses and things like
No
that. Which is,
way. No one
right.
would
I
ever
mean,
write
never
software
happens,
tool
right?
that will
Never.
hard code an IP in it.
But we've run across that, and
Yeah.
man, what a pain that is, right? Because, you know, it's becoming less and less common nowadays, but it wasn't very long ago where that was the thing we'd run across all the time. And you try to change out a critical piece of infrastructure, and you're like, oh, let's just
Mhm.
change the DNS name. Oh, shoot, you know, 10%
Mhm.
of the stuff broke because it's all hard coded.
Yep.
So same kind of idea with crypto and encryption in your organization. Get an idea of, like, how is it implemented in your organization, and how easy is it to change things? How modular is it built, right? So that when you need to, you can quickly change, say, you know, we don't have to rewrite this whole thing. We don't have to do a big heavy lift. We just need to go ahead and, you know, a little bit of config, a little bit of code, couple mouse clicks, whatever it may be. And we can change the encryption standards that we're using. Yeah, I mean, think about, like you mentioned, VPNs before. That's a pretty easy thing, right? We can go into a VPN, we can change that config pretty quickly because of the way the config is built in most firewalls. But if you have, you know, in-house developed applications, or you have server infrastructure that is, you know, built and running a certain way, maybe the backups that you have and how they've been encrypted, some things to think about. Go ahead and start building that now. Think about anything we're implementing going forward. Let's make sure that it's easy to change that out, and then go back and retrofit as you need to.
Mm. That's a good point. I mean, just a little bit of planning ahead of time can save a huge amount of pain in the end, right? If you just start thinking about some of this stuff now in your implementations as they're moving forward.
Absolutely. And beyond that, you know, I think the other question that comes to mind for most people is, I mean, I know it did for me. Well, this is all well and good, but then what? Because we're talking about the future. We're talking about quantum computing and quantum encryption. I mean, okay, so RSA may be vulnerable in the future, but what can I do about that now? Well, there are post quantum, encryption standards. NIST has published standards, and there are standards out there that you can make use of now. That there are several of the major tech vendors. I know Palo Alto, which we are proud to be a partner of. They have been working this into their products for a long time, supporting it so that you can enforce post quantum encryption protocols across your network, enforce traffic that's using those encryption protocols. So they're building it in. Others are building it in. If you're developing applications, there's plenty out there. Like I said, I didn't want to go too much into the weeds of the tech side of this, but there's plenty out there that you can find, and we can help you guide you through as far as what stacks are out there that support post quantum encryption. So it's out there already, and you can start using it. And this is why again, I feel like it's why aren't we hearing more about this? Why do you think people aren't talking about this more, since it is available and ready to go?
It's true. I think just lack of awareness. I think, like when we started talking about this a few minutes ago, it's most people think, future, not now. Quantum computing is super expensive. I think there's only a couple of them around, right, on the planet type thing. It's
Right.
not something to worry about right now. It seems like that's where most everybody's head's at with this.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
maybe people just don't even know, like what I'm saying, like my questions to you, how do we start preparing? I don't think this is common knowledge among most of the IT folks right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And to be fair, it cyber folk are very busy these days, right? I mean, it's a busy job. There's a lot of noise. There's a lot of, everything's a priority, right? So I understand that. I get that. And there's a lot that they need to be thinking about now, because there are real world threats now happening. But I would say, to the business leadership, this needs to be on the radar. This needs to be something that gets started on now, because like I mentioned, it could take 5 years, 10 years to fully implement and protect yourself.
Yeah, good point.
So, and then after that, really point number 3 is a big point, right? And this is a bit of a circular process as well. So point number three, don't gloss over it too much, because we mentioned that there's protocols you can look at now, but there's a lot to do as far as experimenting with them, testing different hybrid strategies as far as using classical encryption and post quantum, and how it's going to work in your organization. That's where a lot of the time comes in. But you just need to start, right? They say it's impossible to steer a parked car, so you just need to start. So number 4, go ahead and look at, you've got some archives out there that are encrypted that have that sensitive data on them, and consider, do we need to go ahead and re-encrypt those? That's a decision for you as a business owner, as an IT manager, executive. That's your decision, but we can't go through this without mentioning that it's should be considered, because that data is still there, and if it's data that's sensitive 5-10 years from now, then I would make sure that there's no way that it can be vulnerable in the future.
Yeah, or at least reduce the risk, right? If you have an option,
Right.
reduce the risk, right?
Yeah. So really, all that, there's not a lot. I'd say step number 5 I didn't really put on here, but what you should consider is this needs to be monitored, enforced, and continuously. Like, it's a continuous process, right? So once you have this in place, once you've done these things, then continue to build this into your organization. So again, business owners, business managers, assign some resources, make a plan, set a timeline. That's how we get things done, right? That's how we set goals, smart goals. So go ahead and get some people in your organization to be responsible for these tasks. Then start making a plan for how it's going to happen. Set your goal. When is it going to be done by? the specific steps. Obviously, like I said, it's a continuous process, but when are we going to reach a certain point in this preparation and then make it happen? That's the big thing. We got to start with that. If we just know this is there and we say, oh yeah, someday I'll get to that,
Yeah.
then it's never going to happen. So get started.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a data center move, right? I mean, at first, like, yeah, we're just going to move data centers. And then you go through a couple of those data center moves and you realize, holy mackerel, this was a lot more involved than I expected, and
Seriously.
this kind of smells like that, that it's everywhere. It touches almost everything. So just getting your arms around it, understanding what the timelines are, throwing those timelines in and kind of backward step in a step, saying, I need to have this done by 5 years. So what does that look like for this year? What does that look like? Kind of getting your mind on it. Like we always say, Joel, whatever you focus on improves, right?
Yeah,
So there's probably a little bit of that focus needs to be headed this way.
absolutely. Yeah. And I say, why not? Right. Because if not, then you're just sitting on it waiting and the future's still coming. Right. It's kind of like how we talk about AI. Can't just sit and hope it goes away because it's not going away. Right. So
Yeah, it's definitely not going away.
yeah.
Definitely not
And,
going away.
and kind of thinking about AI in this whole process, what's AI's role with this, right? I mentioned before that AI is playing a part in helping the iterations of quantum computing and research to move faster. But what about for you as a business owner? What's AI's role here? How can that help? Any thoughts on that, Ron?
Absolutely, man. If I'm a business owner, which I am, and I've got data, which I do, and it's encrypted, and I'm concerned about it, the first thing I'm doing, I'm going to AI and talking about it,
Yeah,
and I'm having AI advise me, guide me a little bit. Normally when something's important, man, I throw it through a couple of different LLMs. They all have their own personality, they all have their own things, and just like anything else, I'm gonna talk to 2 or 3 or 4 friends before I do something major, right?
sure.
So it's kind of like that, I would say absolutely. I'm thinking about this, Joel, with the kind of, I don't want to crack open a new topic here at a half hour in, but AI as software and quantum as hardware, this software hardware thing that's going on is so indicative of what's been going on with IT since the very inception. You know, there's a big jump forward software, and then there's a big jump forward with hardware, and then there's a big jump forward with software, and they're just kind of tandem. And this AI software side and this quantum hardware side, these things are what's coming. These
Right.
things are absolutely the software side and the hardware side of what's coming. And as quantum computing is not, it doesn't work the same way at all. Yeah, it's a completely different thought type process, completely different way of programming. It's
Hmm.
much better at some things than basic computers, and also much, much worse at other
Yeah.
things. So it's not like a complete replacement. And I'm not a prophet. Maybe I am. I can see around corners sometimes. But sometimes I think that in the same way that the cloud thing that we went through in 2010 to 2020 or whatever, this cloud idea essentially wound up being a hybrid. Some things are in the cloud, some things are local.
Yeah.
I Maybe I'm wrong, just a guess, but maybe it's going to be a hybrid. Maybe it's going to be a SaaS based quantum type thing that some people can access. I don't know. I probably won't be building one in my backyard. They seem expensive, but I'm thinking
Yeah.
that a combination of a hybrid equipment, some local, some cloud, some standard, some quantum, right?
Hmm.
And I'm thinking some software and these different tools being used specifically for certain things that they're good at. I think that's exactly where we're going. It's exactly what we've done every single time something new has happened,
Yeah.
right? Even
It
right
makes a lot
now.
of sense.
Yeah, even right now we're looking at AI. It's very hybrid. Yeah,
Right.
some parts people, some parts AI. We're seeing that pattern over and over. Person, a thought leader, the AI as a thought, follower, as a thought partner. That type of thinking. You got an idea, you use AI, you verify it on the back end. Starts with a
Hmm.
person, AI, then a person. It's a very hybrid approach. I think that's the way to think about this.
Well, it's interesting that there was one news story I ran across that some Chinese researchers not long ago said that they had broken broken. I say what they did, they factored a 53-bit, I think, integer, which is kind of where this is going, right? RSA 2048, 2048 bits. You have to factor that number in order to get to the key, right? And so that's the idea. So they're like, yeah, we factored a 53-bit integer. Okay, great. Well, it turns out, okay, a couple things. One, it was a hybrid approach, which goes with what you're saying. They're using classical and quantum computing at the same time, which some people thought was a detractor. I'm like, well, not really. I mean, why is it a detractor? If it gets done, it gets done, and we still have, if we have both those technologies, right?
Right.
The thing about it, it's 53-bit versus 2048-bit, right? It's way a whole different ballpark.
Time, though. Just a
whole different ballpark, but it shows that it's coming, right? Because that's a big leap when it wasn't long before that we're talking about factoring just small little single digit and single digit, but double digit numbers and things like that. So so that is a big leap, and I think you're right. I mean, why throw out stuff that's working great for its purpose when something new comes along? Just like you said, AI, automation that doesn't use AI is still great for what it does, right? AI agents can use automation that we already have and do other stuff on top and add some more autonomy to it. But things like that, those hybrids work well, and knowing where and when it makes sense. I say that's intelligent. That there's no reason we need to say, let's rip and replace everything we have with this new fancy technology, right? Instead, let's see, where does it fit and where does it actually help?
Well, that's exactly what we do, right, Joel, with our AI Quick Start program. I mean, you come in, what is AI? Well, I had one client we were talking about it, and they said to me, we got to get our IT infrastructure squared away before we start any AI stuff. I mean, we've got issues now with X and Y and this and that. And I'm thinking to myself, well, that's why you need AI. I mean, AI doesn't replace the stuff that you got. It's something that you put beside your worker that empowers them. It's like giving them a cape. It's like giving them, all the schooling they could ever need to solve anything type situation. So I think the more people really begin to understand what AI is, and that's simply a turbocharger for people, it just empowers people. Then the hybrid starts to make sense. Well, yeah, we've got all our normal systems that we're using in the business right now. Great. And then we're going to empower our people with AI. Great. It's not a one or the other. And now that we've empowered our people, now with empowerment, we can look at our existing systems, our existing ways that we do things, workflows, and say, is there something else that we can do? And a lot of times, right, Joel, it's automation. It's not AI doing everything. Right. It's AI helping you get better at just plain old automation. It's that hybrid approach. If I'm starting out in AI, if I'm starting out in IT right now, and I'm young in my career and I'm looking at all of this, I'm thinking to myself, wow, it's going to be hard, and wow, it's going to make me some money, because the people that are going to be needed to pull all of these things together in a meaningful way to produce real results, IT people are needed. I think there's a real fear out here that AI is going to replace all the knowledge workers like IT people and so forth. I completely disagree. If you're in technology right now, you need to grab a hold of today's technology, which is absolutely AI, and you need to use it yourself, understand. You need to help your clients and other people around you use it. That's the job of IT people right now. IT people, AI is not going to replace the IT people necessarily, but I think AI is replacing a lot of other people. So
it is.
Again, don't want to open up too much can of worms, but we were talking about it in Thursday's Lunch and Learn yesterday. Salesforce just did a job on their folks. I mean,
4,000 customer service reps, right?
Keep it quiet. We don't want to talk about it. Shh, don't say nothing. It ain't like they advertising laid off 4,000, whatever the number was.
Right.
But I mean, Joel, can you imagine being the one there? You got this new AI project coming to your business, and you're instrumentally involved in getting AI involved in the workflows and what you're doing, and all of a sudden you're like, wait, I don't get, I'm gone. You just you trained your replacement. So is AI going to replace people? Oh yeah. It's not going to replace IT people though. I think if you're technical and you want to, and you're interested in the stuff, it is a great time to start an IT career, even if you're not an IT person before. This stuff is so important right now, and it's at a transition point. Businesses cannot choose to just ignore today's technology. You can't.
Right.
If
Right.
you want to be competitive, you're going to have to empower your people. Your competitors are
Mhm.
empowering their people. Do you just want to get beat? I mean, you can't just sit still here. So,
Right.
recognizing the technology, when's the right time, what's it used for, whether it's AI, quantum, or cyber, whatever it is. I think that's one of the real hallmarks that a good partner. I hope people would choose us. This is what we
Mhm.
do. We help clients every day with make more money with AI and keep it with cyber and be prepared for whatever's coming down the pipe, like quantum or whatever. So I think these are very important things. The quality of the people in the business, the quality of the partnerships with the partners you bring in, that is going to determine how well these tools get implemented and used, and the cost of them, and the pain avoided, all of this type stuff. This is so people oriented, even though you hear on the news and other things that, AIs or this. This is such a people thing. It's
Mhm.
technologies like it always has been. And it's always been people who have had to grapple with this new technology and figure out how to use it productively and how it's dangerous. And that's what's going on right now.
Right. And that's where we come in to help, because it's like you think, okay, well, there's this technology that I want to use in my business, but I don't know where to get started. I don't know how to do it. And like you said, I've got an IT environment that's too much of a mess. I can't do it now, or just too much on my plate. So that's where, we come in, right? We are the people that can come in and help with that, right? It's part of the service that we provide is getting your people started on using AI effectively, making you more money through it, more profitable, making them better at what they do. Because just like you say, I mean, it's not going to replace people, but it'll replace people that are not good with AI, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Same thing with businesses, right? Businesses that ignore AI, that don't learn how to make use of it, they will get replaced eventually.
They're going to be
It's
replaced
just a
by
matter of time.
competitors.
Yeah, the
Yeah. We
competitors
talked
are
about
going.
that. Exactly, Joe. We talked about that bank. Remember that we talked about that a
Mhm.
few weeks ago, where they were going to build an application, kind of a SaaS for banks, and realized, this is a very AI forward solution,
Right.
and I can't sell it to these traditional banks because they got all these layers of management that they're dealing with. And to really be AI first, you kind of need to just be AI first and not people first a little bit. So they created an entire bank. They didn't create a product for bank. They just became a bank, an AI first bank, and it was completely different. The cost structures were completely different. The
Mhm.
way that they do things were completely different. It was literally revolutionary because AI is revolutionary. So I think businesses have to get serious with this. This is not a bolt on. AI is not a
Yeah.
bolt on. This is really a rethinking of technology in the business. It's not a replacement for your existing technology. It's something that you need to migrate into to empower your people. And then we can look at what technology may be replaced by it or not. So it's not I see AI presented so many times in the media and so many times on TV and in the news, and it's just AI means something completely different to everyone,
Right.
right? If I'm super duper Republican and Trump's for AI, I'm loving AI. If I'm super duper Democratic, and Elon Musk and whatever, then I hate AI. It's there's so much of this flavor that goes along with culture about AI and all of this stuff that has nothing to do with the technology, that type stuff just stands in the way.
Yeah.
Like my dad gave me good advice when I was, when I started my first jobs as a teenager. Says, son, leave the personal at the door. Somebody hires you to do a job, it's because they want you to do a job. They want you to
Mhm.
come in, be here on time, do a good job, represent the company well, make the customers happy. That's what you do. Don't bring all that personal crap in the door unless you just want problems at work and get fired. Most
Yep.
folks that have been able to have a job recognize the truth in that. AI is exactly the same. Leave that personal crap at the door when you talk about AI at work.
Mhm.
AI is good for some things, it's not good for other things. It's great at some things, you can't do without it now. There's some things in a business that you just have to get on board and go, or you're going to get left behind. But you can't let all that politics stuff or emotional
Right.
feelings or, whatever personal things about it, you know, color you so much that you don't see clearly what it is. I think that's an important thing now.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people get turned off too because it's presented as some sort of magic wand,
Yeah.
that you've
Overhyped.
got to be using AI. It's going to fix everything. It's going to make everything better. You're
Yeah.
going to make tons of money, but that's not what it is, right? Let's bring it back down to reality. It's a tool. It's a partner in terms of thought partner, things like that can make your people better. And also the agentic side of it is really amazing what it can do within a business, right? But it's got to be used the right way. And you got to find where it fits into your business. And again, that's what we like to help businesses with. But it's there's no one here on this show, right, is going to say that it's universally this is what it'll do for every business, right? Every business is different. Every person and what they need, every skill set, whatever it is going to be different. And that's why we come in to help with that AI jumpstart, to make sure it's actually done right within your business, to make sure it's fitted in where it should be and actually helping you, and not just another, man, we got to figure out how to implement this thing too.
Yeah. And that's the power in that Jumpstart program. It's intentional, that we are empowering you, just like AI empower. You need an internal leader at the business. You need an AI cheerleader on staff. It's one of your people, not us. We come in to empower them. And then it starts with the group, now we got an AI team, a couple of different representatives from from where it makes sense for your business, right? Now we meet and we start talking about things, setting that hour aside, and usually it's a weekly hour meeting. That's where the magic happens, because that's where the focus happens, and what you focus on, you get better at. So us talking about what's possible with the people in the business and understand the business. Now we start going, light bulb moment. Yeah, let's do this. And now we're starting to implement. Now we're starting to, that's how it starts. So, listen, reach out to us. We're nice folks. We promise we won't bite you. Message us. We got valenture.com, VALENTURE.com, all kind of events like we were talking about at the beginning of the show on that. And just to message us out on LinkedIn. I'm out on LinkedIn quite a bit. Message me. Let's talk. Let's figure out what makes sense. We'll be glad to help any way we can. We'd love to.
Absolutely. Well, appreciate everybody watching this, and thanks, Ron, for your time and your insights as always.
One last thing before we break.
Yes.
Go out to that Valenture page on LinkedIn and hit follow. Go out to YouTube and like those pages. Hit us up on Facebook. That way, when this show comes on every Friday at noon, there's several things going through the week. That way, anything that's going on, you'll be up to date. So thank you so much for attending, everyone.